Welcome to the experimental video for experiment 2. Brought to you by the University of Pretoria. Okay everyone, so you're going to start by weighing your two reagents. Firstly, start with the nickel chloride hexahydrate. We require 0.4 grams of that reagent. So you're going to place your little cup or whatever you would like. You can use a beaker, you can use really anything. Then the tare button, yes. So just make sure that you've tared whatever you used. No need to weigh by difference, it doesn't really make a difference. And we're looking for 0.4 grams. You see the technique Joel is using? He's just tapping the spatula instead of just throwing everything into the little container. We're getting very close to 0.4. Okay, and that's fine. You don't need to be too accurate. Alright. Okay, next you're going to weigh 1 gram of your phenanthralin. Its name is the IOPAC name given on the bottle. I'm quite sure you'll be able to find it. Once again, just make sure it's tared. Make sure the glass doors are closed. Okay. 1 gram. Okay, so you see this, you can actually be quite liberal in your first addition because 1 gram is quite a lot. And then again, just slowly start adding. You can just take a little bit off. If you have 1.00, then you're close enough to 1 gram. Okay. And we just get the exact mass by closing the door. 1.0060 gram.
Just add
about 15 milliliters of distilled water, not tap water. This doesn't need to be very specific. It's just your solvent. You add that to your Erlenmeyer flask, a small Erlenmeyer flask, and then you add your nickel chloride. You should have a green solution after the nickel chloride has dissolved. It should dissolve quite easily. If it does not, just keep on stirring. Okay. This is in. Next, you're going to add your phenanthralin to your dissolved nickel chloride. Your first color change is like a purple, a light purple, which eventually should turn a very nice dark wine red after some stirring and agitation. Remember, the practical manual says agitation. It just basically means exactly what Joel is doing. Just shake. Okay. And there we can see it's starting to go red. It's a beautiful color. Okay, eventually you should end up with a color that looks something like this, a nice wine red. Okay. So we've added our 5 molar hydrochloric acid into a beaker so that we can easily transfer it using our 50 milliliter pipette. Okay. The reason we're not directly putting the pipette into the hydrochloric acid is just because otherwise it contaminates your acid. Then to use the sucker of the pipette, you're going to press the A and you're going to deflate the bulb. Okay, easy as that. And then you're going to suck pressing the S for suck. Thereafter, your pipette should start sucking up the hydrochloric acid. And we're working towards that marker over there, the thin line. Remember, the bottom of the meniscus needs to be on that line so that you ensure that you have 50 milliliters. I think this one is also calibrated to 20 degrees Celsius. Yes, the lab is usually about 25 degrees Celsius, but that is okay. It's part of life and experimental air. If the bulb is completely inflating, you still need to suck. Just redo the process. It's not going to eject anything. And then you press the S button again to suck up the last little bit of hydrochloric acid that you require. Okay, remember this is 50 milliliters. That's why we're using the 50 milliliter pipette. There you can see we're basically there. Then if you oversuck, then you can just press the E button for eject. And then you can ensure that you can toggle between those two. Okay. Now once you sucked up your 50 milliliters of HCl, transfer it to your Erlenmeyer flask using the E button again, or you can alternatively, you can remove the bulb completely. Just make sure you don't break anything and eject all 50 milliliters of HCl solution. Next, you need to pipette 5 milliliters of your made up solution. So you can use the 5 milliliter pipette. See, there's a 5 milliliter on it. Again, the same as you use the 50 milliliter, just now your wine red solution needs to be transferred to the Erlenmeyer flask that contained the 50 milliliters of HCl solution. And just for completeness again, we're going to take it up nicely to the line. If you go over, you can just simply eject, play around with it until you get the nice, exact leveling of your solvent, of your solution. And then you simply transfer it slowly. Pour it down on the side of your Erlenmeyer flask, as such. Okay, so the next step what you're going to do, so now once you have your 2 solutions, is you need to place each in their respective water baths. So the 35 degrees Celsius goes to the 35 degrees Celsius, and you're going to be provided with these little weights that help stabilize them in the water bath. You place the 35 degrees Celsius one in a water bath, and you're going to place your 45 degrees Celsius one in the 45 degrees Celsius water bath. Very important. There are thermometers located in the water bath, so please have a look at what the actual temperature is. You see this one is just slightly below 45, and this one is about 31. So that's okay, just make a note of what they exactly are, and remember to cover them. From here on, you're going to do your sampling every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes, and thereafter every half hour you will take another sample for your UV vis. For your UV vis, you first have to prepare your blank, so that is your 5 molar HCl in the plastic cuvettes. These will be provided for you. Make sure that you see the clear side is always perpendicular or parallel to where the light source is from in your UV spectrometer, and there, so you can clearly see the difference between the clear side and the opaque lined side. Okay. You're going to use a dropper pipette, add your HCl solution. We went through this in 385, about 3/4 full should be perfect. And remember, you're going to use the blank every time. Before you place it in the instrument, you just need to clean it using the soft tissues, yes. Otherwise you scratch the clear surface. Okay. Then in the instrument, position number 1. So that's the first position. So first we have to set the wavelength to 420 nanometers. So you go to wavelength, that button, and then you're going to run, you press the downward arrow, you run it down to the wavelength that you want, which is 420 nanometers. And sometimes the instrument is a bit difficult, eh, Joel?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there we have exactly 420. So then we say select, so we select that wavelength, and we wait. Okay, so now we can see our wavelength is inputted and we have a 0 absorbance for the moment. Now we need to zero the instrument because our blank is in it at the moment. So this is our 0 measurement. So 0 the instrument, and then we're going to see there's 100% transmittance at this point now. So from now you need not use the blank again because you 0 the instrument, just as you 0 a scale when you weigh. Okay. Now to take your UV samples at your 5, 10, 15, and then 30 minutes, an hour, etc. One person just needs to hold down your sample to ensure that the temperature stays at 35 degrees or whatever the thermometer says. You can remove the weight. Then you're going to use the dropper pipette again. Take a bit of your sample, place it in the cuvette. And remember 3/4 full, and put back the weight. Make sure it doesn't fall over because that would be a mess. And now you transfer it to the UV machine. Just remember to wipe the sides again. We have removed the blank, so this sample now goes at position 1. And we're going to measure its absorbance, which is 0.443. So you need to note this down on a piece of paper because the instrument is not going to remember that for you. 0.442, round about there. Okay, and you're going to repeat this. We've done this now for the 35 degrees Celsius. You'll repeat that for the 45 degrees Celsius at your different minute intervals and record your absorbance. Remember, please make a note of it on a piece of paper that you've taken the absorbance at 5 minutes, 10 minutes, etc. for each temperature, and do not knock over your Erlenmeyer flasks in the baths. Okay.